Hi everyone, my name is Lisa, I'm an industrial designer, and in this video we're going to talk about how you can come up with various design ideas even if it seems like you don't have anything in mind. So let's jump into it. To begin with, I have to admit that every time I discuss a new project with a client, I have zero ideas. I have zero ideas until I start the proper design process. And when they ask me right away if I already have a design solution in mind, I'm very sorry to disappoint them. The clarity comes to me when I started doing research to find out the design constraints, because they can directly dictate the design direction later on. Project constraints may include materials or cost limitations. So, for example, your client can be tight on a budget, and in order for him to reduce the manufacturing cost, he might ask you to use some specific materials from the very beginning. So let's say one of the client's requirements is to use plywood as the main material for the design. So in this case, you will have to come up with two-dimensional solution for the product and for each part of it, and each one of those parts will be then cut out of the plywood and they will be put into a three-dimensional product like these references you see here. So as you can see here in this example, the amount of ideas that you can design for this product is very limited due to the use of materials. And your design thinking process will be also kind of different from, let's say, when you design a piece of electronics or transportation or robotics. So let's get back to our design process. So once I know exactly how the product works and how a user interacts with it, I can start outlining the external shape. At this stage, I often start with simple geometrical shapes for every part of my product, and then I continue adapting those shapes through the use of ergonomics.
Let's pretend we are designing a computer chair. Starting with the side view, I'm roughly sketching the components of the chair. Then, putting a user into the picture, we can clearly see that our chair back should repeat the spine silhouette of the user in order to reduce the user back pain when he will be working for many hours. So I start generating various design ideas, sketching on top of the user image and the initial component sketch that I did. Once I have at least 5 or 10 rough concepts like this ones, we can move to the next stage and visualize these ideas from different angles and still work in sketches. This is how I typically start all of my design projects.
You can also play around with colors, materials, and finishes of the future product, but honestly speaking, people don't usually buy such chairs for the way they look. They mostly buy them for the feeling of comfort that those chairs give them while sitting. And that's a very important thing to understand, because especially when it comes to a very function-based product where the aesthetics is the secondary factor, you can't really run out of ideas because ergonomics will dictate you how you should design those products. But if you're particularly struggling with the aesthetics of your designs, there are several things you can do.
You can start mind mapping when you brainstorm and write everything down so you can keep all of the potential ideas in front of you when you will then start sketching. You can do that on your own or during a group session.
Another method is a morphological analysis, and I used to use it a lot when I was studying industrial design.
So I found a picture in the internet, and this is a scheme that somebody did for a computer chair design. So the whole point of this method is basically to divide the product into separate elements and think about all the possible ways you can design those singular parts. This allows you to focus on each element first and then combine the most unique options for each element into one product in the end. So as you can see in the vertical column, you should write all of the main elements that your product has. So in our example, it's a seat, back of the chair, armrest, and the stand, or you can call it legs. And then once you write that down, you can start thinking about all of the possible design solutions for each of those elements and write them down in a horizontal line. So, for example, our chair seat can be either square, half round, or rectangular. Actually, the more options you come up with, the better. So don't limit yourself with the numbers. As you can see here, that each part only has 5 solutions. Actually, the more you come up with, the better. And it's also fine if you come up with, let's say, 5 solutions for the seat and, let's say, 10 solutions for the stand. Once you write down all of the options that come to your mind, you can start choosing the options that might go well together. For example, I can imagine some round type of a chair that would have a round seat, an ellipsoidal back, a roundish armrest, and a similar stand. The next step would be sketch out this design and work on the ergonomic.
Another method that often works pretty well in the design process when it comes to solving aesthetic problems is mood boards.
Your mood board should be based on your target audience preferences and the price segment that your product is targeting. That will help you choose colors, materials, and finishes and follow the right design directions in terms of the visuals.
So to sum up, I want to say that you should definitely trust the design process and be very systematic in what you do. And that's definitely going to help you keep everything in order. Also, don't really dive into the first design solution that you have in mind, because it's always good to explore different ideas, and especially if you work with a client or if you're working in a team, you can definitely have a group session discussing those concepts that you created, because a different vision, like the different one from yours, can definitely help you see some potential in your ideas, even sometimes when you yourself don't see anything in those rough sketches. Of course, practice makes perfect, and if you continue practicing designing all sorts of products on a daily basis, with the time the process will definitely become easier and easier for you. So that was all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you in the next video.